In 2017, Team Cherry released the gorgeous Metroidvania title Hollow Knight, taking the video game world by storm. With only 3 team members to develop the game, Hollow Knight overshot its Kickstarter campaign by some $22,000 and delivered wonderfully on its promise of a charming, addictive journey. I made this carving for a friend who absolutely loves this game. I decided that while I would carve the knight in my own style, I would apply some challenges for myself to ensure that my skill increased by the end of the project. First, I would make sure that each individual piece of the knight was carved out of a whole piece of wood, rather than assemble many small parts. This meant that the knight would consist of 4 parts: a head, a cape, a body, and a sword, which is called a nail in the game. I would carve the figure out of soft maple and cherry, 2 woods that I hadn't used before. Lastly, I would sand each piece to get a smooth look for the character, something I didn't do much of on previous projects. I carved the whole figure on my Twitch stream at twitch.tv/carvabowl. This project not only saw me routinely stream, but I was also affiliated on Twitch through the process, so I love this carving especially. Here you see me creating the head for the knight, which taught me that this figure was going to take some time. Despite this being called soft maple, there's actually nothing soft about it at all. I realized that cuts were going to be shallow, and I would need to embrace the slower pace, which ended up being my favorite part of the whole process. I used almost every carving tool I own for this figure. I even had to use a Dremel in some sections to make sure that I got the angles I wanted. The head took most of the time, as I had to work gently with the antlers to ensure that nothing was broken in the process. Thankfully, due to the density of the wood, it was far from fragile. Taking my time on the head allowed me to brainstorm how I would approach the other pieces of the figure, and a lot of time to talk to my new friends on Twitch. And honestly, my entire life has changed in the past few months, since I got serious about my content creation. I have met dozens of amazing people through Twitch, most of whom are artists themselves. I spend much more time on the platform and in Discord sharing art and discussing the creative process. It blows my mind to think about where I was when I began carving about a year ago and where I am now. I am beyond excited to see where this journey takes me. So if you've considered starting your own creative journey, I cannot encourage you enough to start right now. If you have doubts, so does every creator. Every project I create has ups and downs where sometimes I think things are going awesome, and sometimes I think I've totally screwed up. The difference is that I don't quit. So pick up the pen, the brush, the clay, whatever you want to work with, and consider joining one of the Discords that I've listed right beneath this video. There you will find a host of helpful creators who want to see you succeed and cheer you on. I can't wait to see what you make. Now, with that said, I'm going to assume that you started, and we'll get back to the figure. The eyes on the knight were done with a V-chisel, which you're going to see I also use on the cape. It's a lovely tool for getting really precise lines carved into wood. It made the details on this carving really pop. Once the head was done, it was time to start the body, which was the least time-intensive part of the entire figure. I did have to return to the body a few times to remove some material so that it would fit inside the knight's cape without distorting the dimensions of the overall character. I didn't have to carve the arms since they're mostly covered up by the cape, but I'm glad that I did. It made for a really clean detail should you lift the figure up and turn it for closer inspection. This project saw me use my detail chisels much more often, which is a really good sign. I honestly just didn't know exactly how to use them, but after watching my friend Clint, known on Twitch as Timber and New, use the same tools recently, I felt confident I could make them work. Thanks, Clint. The cape was the most daunting portion of the figure, but ended up being my favorite part to carve overall. This was the first project where I felt that I was fully in control of my plan. I knew the cuts that I would need to make, and I was able to execute without any redos. That's not bragging. It's me recognizing that intentional practice is working, and I'm getting better at my craft. That's what this is all about. I used a drill to hollow out the cape and worked with the other pieces to ensure that they fit. I didn't include the carving of the nail here, which remember is the sword that the knight uses in the game, because the shots I had weren't as clear as I would have liked. I mean, I am after all still learning to do this whole content creation thing, so patience, we'll get there in time. Painting, as always, was a therapeutic process, and I stayed up until 2 a.m. finishing the last touches on the night. Just out of sheer enjoyment, honestly. I love the final outcome, and I hope you do too. Please consider subscribing to my channel and liking this video to help me create even more awesome projects. I'll see you in the next one.